Hello, I'm Brett and I work in the digital media team here at Buckinghamshire New University. We're proud to be presenting the 6th episode in our brand new podcast series, It Begins With Us, where our students will be talking about their experiences and giving advice on a range of topics. In the latest episode, I chat with 3 BNU students who studied at our High Wycombe campus. They talk openly about the range of parks, restaurants, clubs, shops and unique facilities that the town provides, and all within a close proximity of the campus. Also discussed is Wickham's multicultural society, its industry connections, and ease of access to other major cities such as Oxford and London. So, let's begin.
Hiya, my name is Bernadette, people call me Bernie, and I'm a graduate from the Performing Arts course at BNU.
Hello, my name is Shannon. I'm also a graduate from the Performing Arts course at BNU.
Hello, my name's Juliet and I'm a graduate from the Criminological Psychology course at BNU.
Right, great. Thanks for joining, guys. First thing I want to know really is what you knew about High Wycombe before joining BNU and moving into halls. So there's anything you knew prior to moving here and your perception of it before you arrived?
From what I knew of it, I knew that there was a theatre nearby because luckily I was able to visit High Wycombe quite a few months in advance before, well, this is how I found out about the university, because I had a family member who was actually playing at the Swan, the theatre, and like people around there in the theatre was telling me about the university, so I knew that there was a theatre and that was quite interesting. But apart from that, I didn't know much else until I went onto the website, and then that's when I found out about the accommodation.
See, I'm a bit of a weird, because I've lived in Wickham my whole life. I lived in High Wycombe. I grew up in High Wycombe. So for me, I pretty much knew everything before coming to uni. So I guess I'm a bit of a different one. But for me, like I really enjoy living in Wickham, and I enjoy like all the facilities here. And I'd heard such good things about the uni. I didn't actually know that much about the uni, but I'd heard such good things about it, and I knew that, like Bernie said, like there was a really good theatre nearby and all of that. So that's why I decided to stay home and like commute to uni.
So for me, I didn't know High Wycombe actually existed. I knew the university existed because it's the one I kind of wanted to go to. It's the one I hunted down at UCAS fairs. I went to the open day and got to see High Wycombe, and that's when I learned that I had family up here that we hadn't really connected to in like about 30 years. And then I learned that my dad used to work and live here for a little bit to pay for his flight training. So I didn't know High Wycombe existed until I kind of came to High Wycombe. But I've really loved kind of exploring it and learning like kind of any family ties we have here.
Cool. That's a nice mixture of stories. And obviously the halls of residence are important, and the proximity is always important. So for people who don't know, how far away are the halls of residence from the uni and the town centre? Are they a good distance, do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Like Bernie, we used to live together in Brook Street, so it was like a 5-10 minute walk, 5 if you ran, 10 minutes if you just walked, so you could always kind of get there before your lecture started if you woke up late. Was there
an inference there that you ran to lectures quite often?
During like my 2nd or 3rd week, I woke up with about 15 minutes till my lecture started, so I literally got changed and then ran to the halls, ran from the halls to the uni. And managed to make it like 1 minute before the lecturer got there. She doesn't know that happened, but yeah.
She does now.
I was about to say that, she does now.
Like the halls are very, very close. I've done accommodation tours to both of them. Windsor is in Frogmore. It's about 5 minutes from the university at most. And Hughenden like a 10, 15, maybe 20 minute walk if you're quite slow, but 15 I would say is average.
Yeah, definitely. It is. It's very convenient, and each accommodation has different things around them. Personally, I've always preferred Brook Street because of how close it is to everything. Like it's right next to Aldi, and Aldi becomes your best friend as a student, because obviously money, and so that's only like 3-minute walk away. And also right next to that is the centre. You got the shopping centre where the cinema is, the bowling is, all the shops, all the main shops. So yeah, I've always preferred Brook Street, but everywhere else is also rather close, so it's pretty good.
How easy would you say it is to get to London from Wickham, and how long does it take? And I imagine it's the same for Oxford as well, because they are prime locations. So how easy has it been for you guys if you've made that journey?
It's so easy. I'm so bad with trains, but the Wickham train station, it's so easy. To get to Oxford, it's literally a half an hour train, and to get to Marylebone, it's also half an hour. So that's what I think I like about living here as well, is that you're literally in the middle of London and Oxford. It's half an hour away. It's so easy. Just jump on the train.
Yeah, like my sister moved to London this year, so it's been so nice that I've been able to kind of say, let's hang out today, I've got a day off, so let's go and do something in London. So she lives in around the Clapham area, so I can just kind of go, right, I'll go to Marylebone, then I'll go to Clapham, and then we can just go hang out, and then like I can come back before the day's over, or I can stay over and then come back in the morning. Like it's really easy to get into London. I've done lots of days out with friends there, even gone like late in the afternoon and come back in the early evening, and still had a really like what feels like a full-on day, even if it's only half a day.
Yeah, I'm quite similar to Shannon, actually. I'm really bad with trains. They give me quite bad anxiety, but there is very few train stations that I know of that are easy to navigate around, and Wickham train station, I would say, is really easy. They've always been really helpful when I've been there, and because I know, like, you really get to know the journey. If you go to London a lot, you will get to know the journey from Wickham to London. I just always struggled with the tube bit, so that's just a different thing altogether. But Wickham train station is really close to where you'll probably be staying, and it's really easy to navigate around, so yeah.
There's also like, if you get like the student rail card and everything, it makes it really, really cheap, because you'll go to London more than 3 times a year, or you'll use the train more than 3 times a year, because there's so much to do and explore. So like it's so worth getting that student rail card. But like if you got like the London All Zones ticket for all day, that's 26 quid, and you can get around the whole of London so easily for that. So there's so many, it's quite cheap as well, so it's not like you're spending £1 million just to go to London for the day, unless you go shopping.
Yeah, then you really would spend £1 million.
You do when you've got a student loan, apparently.
So, speaking about, student loan ties in nicely. For yourselves, what is student life like in Wickham? For example, clubs, bars, restaurants, cinemas. Name ones which you've really enjoyed. I can happily elaborate because I've lived in Wickham all my life for my sins. But which are the ones that you'd love to go to or have visited?
So I would say O'Neill's is quite fun. It's really close to the uni, actually. And I've also really enjoyed the Antelope, especially not during lockdown, but as lockdown was easing and some pubs were opening, the Antelope was very popular, because it has a rather larger outside area, but I also know that there's a brand new like full-on nightclub that has just opened called Trilogy, and I know it's got all like the flashing lights and it's got fancy photo areas. I haven't been able to go, but I've seen it all on social media, and I envy everyone who's been able to go because it looks so fun.
Like when I did clearing last year during lockdown, a couple of us went out for drinks at the Snug, and then we booked a table in the new bar that's attached to Trilogy, called Botanic, and like the Snug's fantastic. It does like cheap drinks, it's a nice kind of area. And then we went to Botanic, which had been brand new kind of like that month, and I think it was one of the first weekends it had been open at that point. And the actual owner of both of them was in, and he was like, "Oh, you guys are from the uni, let me go take you on a tour around Trilogy to show you what it's going to be like when," and this is when everyone was really optimistic about lockdown. They were like, "Oh, when it all eases in November of 2020. So yeah, he was like, "Let me take you a tour around because it's all done, it all looks amazing, and we can't wait to open this November so all the students from the university can come." And I was like, "You are very optimistic," but it's honestly stunning inside from what I remember, like from a year ago. It had a couple of floors, it had different dance floors, different DJ sets. There was like a room with so many different, like, the disco balls. For some reason there was like hundreds of them around the roof. it was really cool and it looked amazing. And we were like, oh, we kind of want lockdown to be over in November now because of this, just because of this. So the guy was like, oh yeah, and then you can have all the drinks in the house when you go back to Botanic. We were like, yeah, this is good. So there's some really lovely places in High Wycombe to kind of like, you know, go out to.
For me, I really like the Chiltern Taps, which is by Sainsbury's. They do really fun like karaoke nights and they do really good cocktails as well. It is a tiny bit pricey, but I think if you're a student, they do like deals where sometimes you can get a drink for like £1 or something, which obviously is amazing. But I also think what I like about Wickham is there's so much to do outside of drinking. I think there's such a stereotype, isn't there, for students that all we do is go out and drink all the time, which is obviously fun, but at the same time, sometimes I'm just not feeling it. And that's what I like. There's like so many restaurants. There's like so many like restaurants. There's like a whole little like bit where there's like a Wagamama's and a Zzz's and Pizza Express, and they all do student discount. Like downloading uni days is like the best thing ever because you get like 30% off some of them on certain days, which is amazing because you can go and buy loads of food and get a massive discount on it. So I think that's what I really like, that they have all of that in the Eden Centre, and it's all really close. Like that's literally like a 2-minute walk from Brook Street. And it feels really safe as well because it's all in like a shopping centre. You don't feel like you're going to a random restaurant in the middle of nowhere, which I think when you're a student as well, you're walking everywhere, you know, like you're going to be out late at night. It's just, for me, whenever I went out, I felt really safe.
So it's that security. You feel really safe and secure in that environment.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to add on to that, and that is there's actually Wetherspoons. Now, if you're a classic British person, you'll know all about Wetherspoons, and there is a Wetherspoons in Wickham, and you know what, that is a classic place to go. Obviously it's really cheap, it's really easy to get to, and it's always a good start for pre-drinking or just celebrations, small meals as well. I've been there for lunch multiple times because I can't stay away apparently. So
also it's worth mentioning that the Snug is open until 2 a.m. on some evenings, and the Antelope sometimes open until 6 a.m. so that's also nice because you have that freedom. You don't have to worry about time. You can, you know, hang out as long as you want. So I think it's worth mentioning that too. So I thought I'd put that one in there. There are also, I don't know if you guys have checked them out, there are also places called the Mad Squirrel.
I've got a friend that works there and I popped in to kind of like see her every so often. And it honestly looks really lovely in there. And I know it's open quite late. Into the evening, and it just does like different tap beers and stuff like that, so it's been really nice. Like I go in just to speak to her, I don't get anything there, but it's always a very nice atmosphere, very chill in there, so it's definitely worth kind of like checking it out.
Yeah, and I think the really good thing about Wickham is that you do have in what is a fairly small town compared to others, a hell of a mixture of pubs, supermarkets, and I think it's so inclusive in that sense. For example, you know, the Flint Cottage is near the train station, the Phoenix Bar, which both those do live music. So I thought I'd mention that too.
So yeah, definitely another really like amazing cafe just to go to is the Front Room. If you like plants, like I like plants, then you will adore the Front Room. There's plants everywhere. There's like sofas and couches, there's tables, you can go like charge your laptop and everything and do work there. They're very like student friendly. I think some of them are ex-BNU students, so they set this place up. The food is so nice. It's always like freshly made each day, so there's these gorgeous sandwiches and brownies and cakes and like all this coffee and milkshakes and smoothies, and but yeah, there's like so like it's a massive area, so you can just go sit down, do your work. They bring over the food and drink to you. You can sit down there the whole day. I've spent a lot of time there this year kind of doing either dissertation work or when I've been working for the Digital Ambassador Scheme, like doing all of that stuff. And so yeah, like it's a really lovely chill area just to go work, go chat with your friends. They have loads of events on as well. Like they had a puppy cafe pop up earlier in the year, and it was like pugs and Dutch hounds, and then they've got another one coming up as well, I think in October. And you just get to play with the puppies. They have plant sales, they have drag nights, and they're open from like 8 in the weekdays till 6, I think, and then Saturdays and Sundays is slightly shorter. I think it's like 9 or 10 till 5. But they're very chill, and like they'll clean up around you, and then they'll still serve you up until like closing time. They're very lovely there. They're very sweet. They get to know you as well, so definitely worth checking out.
So the front room staff, if you're listening, that's a massive plug to you all. So I really hope you enjoyed that.
I really want to go stroke some puppies now, and you made me really hungry.
No, it sounds really nice. I personally haven't been there, so I'm going to have to check that out sometime. Yeah, and I think the other thing to mention is that in the Eden Centre, for example, there is a massive restaurant strip. I mean, you know, you're never spoilt for choice. If you don't like Italian food, you can go somewhere more typically British. If you don't like that, you go to an Indian. So there are so many different restaurants in Eden, as well as shops that we mentioned. I think it's quite key to mention that in the Eden Centre we have like House of Fraser, which contain many designer outlets. And if you think about it, the nearest place to here to get anything designer is probably London. So if you want your Ted Baker and all that sort of stuff, you have to go to London, whereas in Wickham we have all that too. I don't know if you guys have ever checked those out or...
Yeah, I have. I've walked in there and I've gone, my bank account says nope. But it's lovely, don't get me wrong. It's wishful thinking at that sort of time. But no, it is really lovely there. And people are quite kind as well. You'd think some people would be quite stuck up. Well, I always thought that. But when I went in there, they're actually really helpful and really nice. So no, I would definitely recommend checking that out as well.
Cool. Slight difference from restaurants and everything. Have any of you actually made use of the local pools, like Handy Cross Pool or the Rye Open Air Pool?
Yeah, I've been to both. So I've been to the Rye pool, that's an outside one, and I've also been to the one at Handy Cross, which is actually only just up the hill. So just up the hill from town, right on like the top of it is the leisure centre, and it's got such a good pool there, and I've been to both of them. I haven't been in ages because of lockdown, etc., but I've really enjoyed going to both of them. The Rye is so fun. Obviously it has to be quite hot because otherwise it's a bit cold, but it is really, really good there, and it's really cheap. I think at the Rye it's only like a couple of quid or something. It was really reasonable. And obviously you're still so close to town and stuff there, so it's not too far. So yeah, it's really good.
I personally haven't been. I did plan to go before lockdown, but lockdown happened, unfortunately. But before lockdown, a couple of years ago, my flatmate and Juliet, you know him, Philip. So Philip, if you're listening to this, which you probably will be, shout out to you. He would go a couple times and he would always come back really positive. He'd be like really fresh. He'd be bouncing around. He loved it. So from just his experience, it made me want to go. So yeah, sounds good to me.
The only stories I'd heard from it were from Philip, our flatmate, and I think he always wanted all of us to go at one point.
He did.
And then we just
really
never
did.
got to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something I did miss out on being here, but definitely go do it and find them if you come to the uni.
And I can highly recommend them because I've lived here all my life. So, you know, if you want to hear from an oldie here, then, you know, I enjoy it as well. So apart from the pools and everything else, we do have festivals as well, such as Penfest and Frogfest. I don't know if any of you have been involved or have been to any of these, but if you have, would you like to elaborate on that at all? Or
I've kind of seen, like, I've always been working whenever they're on, but I've always seen like what Frogfest is like. I worked at Creams this year a little bit, and it was like right outside the Cream store, so we could hear all kind of the music and everything, and so we were kind of all dancing to that in the Cream store while we were all working, and it's honestly just looks and sounds like a fantastic atmosphere. It looks quite fun and there's so much to do, so definitely worth checking out. I just wish I'd never been working during them.
Personally, I've never been, but I've always seen them advertised. So they do a great job at advertising it. I've just never been able to go. And they do sound like fun. I have heard stories about Frogfest. So I do think if you are free and you're not working, you don't have work to do from uni, I would say check them out, even if it might not be your thing, because they're not really my sort of thing either. However, they do sound quite fun, and usually before COVID, I think I walked through one of them actually. I'm not sure which one it was, so this might be a little bit, but I did walk through a massive crowd, and I'm pretty sure it was one of the festivals, and there was a lot of like different aged people, so you're not going to be out of place either. So there was young kids, there was adults, there was elderly people, there were uni students. So yeah, it did seem like a lot of fun. I just couldn't stay, unfortunately. So if you do get a chance, I would say go. Cool,
that's great. And also, the thing to mention about Wickham is we are in the heart of the Chilterns, and I think there are many amazing parks to go to. Not just the Rye, as good as it is, but Penn, Holywell Mead, Black Park, which is near Pinewood Studios, and if you're a film buff, there are tons of really big films that have been filmed at Black Park. Keep Hill Woods, Tom Burt's Hill. So I'm wondering if any of you have been to any of those, or if you know of any other parts of Wickham or Buckinghamshire that have some lovely parks to go to.
I actually live in Penn, so that's kind of where I commute from, and it's really not far from Wickham. If you live in Halls, it's a 15-minute bus journey, really not far, and there are some lovely places around here that I love going to on the weekend, or like just to chill. I used to go there in lockdown when we were allowed out for like exercise and stuff. I used to go there on like breaks from lectures and stuff like that, or like just to kind of chill out after doing like work and staring at a screen all day. And it is really nice because you kind of feel like you're in the middle of nowhere when you go to these places. It's only like a 5-minute drive away from me, but I just go there and you do feel like you're in like the countryside, but then at the same time we're so close to, like we were saying, like London and all these shops and restaurants and stuff like that. So I think that's really nice, because whenever you do want some like chill time away from everything, where you just need to kind of like clear your head or whatever, it's so nice. And it's also just a really nice place to kind of meet up with people. Obviously it's a free place, which is amazing, because when you're a student, obviously you have to think about money and stuff like that. So yeah, I really would recommend Penn, and it's really not far from Wickham.
The only thing I could say is I personally haven't been able to go to these other parks. However, just imagine how cool it would be if you could just say to your friends and family, oh, this is where this film was filmed. Now, how cool would that feel? And you live so close, you never know, you could be studying there and there could be a film being made, and then all of a sudden you get to see all the stuff. That, to me, as a drama person, makes me go, wow, I wish I went now, because I didn't really know that. So if you are into dramatics or film or media, why not? It'd be pretty cool.
It is rather amazing. I mean, for example, I think it's fairly common knowledge that Black Mirror has been filmed in Wickham twice. It was once in the uni, doubling for a hospital, and another episode, the whole town was used in an episode too. So there's that. But I think, as I mentioned, Black Park, I mean, that's up the road from Wickham, and Harry Potter's been filmed there, Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who. So all sorts of really big things have been filmed in this park. And because we're so close to Pinewood Studios, you know, it's cheap and easy for film production companies to go out near Buckinghamshire and just do it. So leading on from performing arts, this applies to you, Bernie and Shannon, the Swan Theatre is literally across the road from the campus. And the Jackie Palmer Stage School, which is a prestigious stage school in central town. So yeah, I just wondered if either of you had been involved with the Swan or any other performance groups at the Wickham Arts Centre or anything like that we have.
Yeah, so I visited the Swan Theatre multiple times. In fact, unluckily for me and Shannon, we weren't able to perform there, but due to COVID, in our third year, but you would be able to perform there or in the town hall connected to it, so that's a great experience as well. However, with the Jackie Palmer Studios, I do know that one of our guest lecturers who helped us with singing and voice work actually also works there. His name's Niall, so hello Niall, and he's really lovely, great to work with, so if you do get a chance to work with him, you're really lucky. But also Jackie Palmer Studios is right next to Brook Street accommodation, and I used to walk past it all the time, and they always have their curtains closed for privacy, but it looks so fascinating. Even with that, it looks really professional, and I think loads of famous people have been there, so I walk past, I'm like, wow, cool. So yeah,
I've been to the Swan so much. Like, when I was growing up, I'd always go there, and I still go there now. I go to all their pantomimes and stuff at Christmas, and it's honestly just such a lovely environment. I know that one of my friends, while I was at uni, she was working there while she was at uni as well. She started a job there, and it was really easy for her because it was flexible hours. So I think if you are into performing arts and things and you want a job, working there is quite a good option because it gives you money, but you're still kind of in that environment of theatre and performing. And like Bernie was saying, there's the town hall, which is connected to the Wickham Swan, which is actually a massive theatre space. Like, I didn't realise that. And in your third year, you get the option to put on a play in there. But you also do it in a second year as well. Like, we did a production in second year just before lockdown. So that was kind of like our last thing as like a class. But it was amazing to perform in there because it's really professional. Like, you feel like you're like in like the proper real world, you know what I mean? Not saying that when you perform at uni it's not like that, but going to an external venue is just so interesting. And that town hall, like I said, you can put on a play there, or you can even like screen a film. I know that that's what somebody in the year above was going to do before lockdown. Like, they were fully going to screen their film there. So I just think there's so many opportunities there, as well as it's just a really nice theatre. They put on so many different like range of events. Even if plays aren't your thing, they do comedy nights. I know like Rob Brydon's performed there a couple of times. It's just really lovely, and they do like student deals as well, which is obviously always a positive.
Just to add on to that, when we, like, going back to when we were there in second year, Shannon, going into like all the dressing studios and stuff like that and backstage, it was really professional, and they did treat us really nicely. I do feel like the Swan Theatre has a good connection with the university, and they are very lenient with things, and they do allow you to perform there as well, obviously during your course. So if you do get a chance to do that, I would say make the most of it. Really be able to feel in the moment, because it's not all every day you get to go into a backstage room and feel like you're in a big show, especially because it's an external venue, like Shannon said. So if you do get a chance to do that, really make the most of it, because it was a lot of fun for us.
I remember, I think, coming to see you when you did that performance at the Swan. A few of the flatmates did. And I just remember you guys being so buzzing, like being there and able to perform somewhere that wasn't the university, that was a professional background. And like, you guys were so happy about doing that and actually getting to experience that. So that is definitely something that like performing arts students do get to try, which is actually fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's extremely rare to be able to have that connection with the theatre in a university. In my opinion, I think it's very difficult to find that. So yeah, that's great that there are those connections. And in a way that ties in with what I was going to ask about work. I wondered if any of you had managed to find work in Wickham while studying, and if so, what job you've had, and just tying into that, how easy you think it is for students to get work while studying in Wickham.
I mean, I've worked as a student ambassador since my first year. I've worked as a digital ambassador in my final year. I've done mentoring, I've worked for study hire, so we went out to different schools in the area and talked about higher education and how good it is, and if it isn't the right option for them, then what they can do. I mentioned earlier that I worked at Creams. I only worked there for a month or two, because it was like during my final kind of bit I'd just finished university, so I was going to work there, and I didn't realise I was going to stay in Wickham for much longer, so I had to leave. But it's quite easy to find work either on like the high street, because I know the Students' Union does kind of advertise jobs that are in the high street, and they're able to connect you and like kind of give the CV over. And then there's so much work within the university as well. Like, you can work for the Students' Union behind the bar as security or behind the desk. You can work as a student ambassador, so you get to kind of meet the new potential students and kind of coerce them into the university and, you know, show them how amazing it is. And then like all the applicant days and like talking with year 9s and year 12s and year 13s and doing the digital ambassador work, you can like do the blogs and the vlogs and all of that. There's a lot of different work you can do, and it's just really what you want to do yourself.
Yeah, so I worked at Primark in Wickham, and I know a lot of uni students work there because you can and this is the same for like a lot of retail stores. You can transfer back to your hometown. So if you're going back for like a month at Christmas, you could transfer back, so you're still working and earning money. I know that my friend Honor, who is now the president of the Students' Union, which is really exciting, she used to work at Costa, and when she'd go home, she would just kind of like stop her. They would just kind of put her on like a 0-hour contract for when she'd then come back. I'm not really sure how it works exactly, but there's just I think like we were saying earlier, there's so many like little cafes and shops and stuff like that around that offer weekend work, but also quite flexible work as well. Like I know a lot of people who had work that was just at the weekend or just in evenings, and because there's a lot of bar work as well, like another friend of mine worked at O'Neill's, which we spoke about earlier, but that offered her quite a lot of evening work, which was good for her because it meant that after a lecture or something she could go and make some money, because obviously I think as a student you have to obviously think financially, and a lot of people have to work while they're at uni. So I think it's really good that High Wycombe offers those opportunities.
Yeah, for me personally, I began choosing not to have a job because I really wanted to focus on my studies. However, as Juliet was saying, you can work with the university. In fact, I've recommended this to all students that I know and all friends that are going on to university, even if they go into different unis, that if you can work with the uni, do, because the pay is usually pretty good, and also they understand about your studies. They understand that that has to come forward, whereas I know that there are some companies, unfortunately I did have one friend who did struggle with a company that I won't mention, but they wanted her to work loads of hours, but she couldn't, so she ended up having to leave because she couldn't commit to it fully the way that they wanted her to. However, with the university, you gain a lot of skills, you have great references, the pay's pretty good, and the hours are usually choosable. Like usually you can choose what you do. So if you can work for the uni, I would highly recommend it. If not, there are job centres around as well. I know that the university connected with a job centre, so if you'd rather work outside of the uni and you want to break from uni and a different life to uni, that's also a good option. So yeah,
there are many tucked away treasures in Wickham that not many people know about. Personally, I've found the High Wycombe Museum and a place called Studio 88, which is a place where you can rent for photography and performing. I just wondered if there are any hidden treasures in Buckinghamshire that any of you have discovered at all that might not be prime location for many people.
To be fair, actually, the Wickham Arts Centre, I didn't work there, but we rented out the hall for my third year final project, the film that we made, and they were really nice about it. They understood that they were just really flexible, so I would highly recommend, if you do need any filming at all, whether it be connected to the uni or it's not connected to the uni, or you wanted to visit there, I would recommend you get in touch. So I would say that's quite a hidden treasure. So yeah, would recommend that.
I think there's loads of like little things, like I was saying earlier, there's the Penwoods, which is not in Wickham, it's a bit out of it, but it's just like so beautiful. Like they have like a really old church there, which I just think is so pretty, and then the actual woods themselves are just beautiful, and like it's really lovely little walk. Or there's like other things, like there's like Beaconsfield's a town that's not too far away, that's got some stuff. Marlow as well. Marlow's really not that far, you can get a bus to it, and it's such a nice little town with a little river, and that's really nice to kind of go if you want a bit of a change of scenery, you just want to kind of like check something else out. Again, it's like all close to Wickham. I think I never realised how close everything was until I actually started to travel there, and then I was like, oh, actually it's quite close. And there's also in Maidenhead, there's this little bit called Bolter's Lock, which has a couple of mini golf places, and it's also got a little island where they keep like guinea pigs and stuff. It's so cute, and it's free to go. Like obviously you have to pay for the mini golf, but I've been multiple times, and the mini golf is like £2 each, which is a bit of a bargain. And then the actual island is obviously free, and you can just like walk around it and have a picnic and stuff like that. So it's just really lovely places that are actually quite close to you, but are just nice for like a change of scenery or something a bit different.
You mentioned the Hellfire Caves, and actually, I have been there. I have quite a few funny stories. I'll briefly mention one now. I went there with my boyfriend when he came to visit, and it was the first time we had been there, and we didn't really know whereabouts we were going, so we were just looking everywhere, exploring, and it's for students you get a discount, by the way, so it's all right. It's like price wise it's all right, but yeah, we're walking around, and then we didn't realize there was a school viewing, and we accidentally ended up treading along with that, and then this little kid came around the corner and went boo, trying to scare someone else, but scared me instead, so I was like rah! And I freaked in front of this kid, and I just didn't mean to, and it was just quite funny. So if you want a little bit of a spooky, intense little walk around the caves, there's a lot of information about them online. Some say it's haunted. If you like that sort of stuff, go and visit, because I got scared. It was from a child, but I'm sure you'll get scared from something else instead. So I would recommend that. That's a hidden treasure. So
The Hellfire Caves are really good. I went there during when I was coming back from my second year. And I know during Halloween they kind of all dress it up and make it a bit more spooky. And what's really cool is one of my lecturers, Kieran O'Keefe, he's worked with Ghost Adventures when they came and actually did all the ghost paranormal stuff at the Hellfire Cave. So he brags every time the first year's coming, he's like, I've got Zach Baggins on speed dial, and so we're just like, yeah, call him then.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's met Zach Baggins and worked with the team quite a lot. So he's like, yeah, I've met Zach Baggins, I've got him on speed dial. So that's a fun connection of the uni to the Hellfire Caves.
Yeah, I would like to point out that the Hellfire Caves was also filmed in Most Haunted many years ago, and they filmed down there and above the Hellfire Caves is West Wickham Hill, and Brad Pitt was filming there a couple of years ago for a film. Simon Pegg, he filmed a film up there. So there's been a lot of interest with Wickham, and as you mentioned, Juliet, when you're at the top of that hill, for example, you can see all across. And I remember a friend of mine who didn't live in Wickham gave quite a profound thought, and she looked out and saw the huge road leading to Wickham, and actually said, wow, the whole town really is encompassed in countryside. It's almost like the town is within, because all you can see is trees and nature all around it. And it is amazing, as you say.
It's like we're in the valley, so it's a really pretty view on a sunny day. So
I think Bernie's learning a lot from this talk.
I didn't know Brad Pitt and Simon Pegg. So for those who can't see, I'm silently freaking out. I'm like, oh, no, what? Because I recently went up for a hike there before coming back home, and I could have just imagined me walking up there and then seeing Brad Pitt and be like, and just having a little freak out. Sorry, that's so strange. But I just think that's so cool. I'm learning this, so yeah.
It was only a day or two he was there, but I do remember the hype. I can't remember the name of the film, but it was quite amazing. So there we go. So we've gone on from that, slightly less glamorous, but still very important. I think it's important to mention the BNU campus is very close to the hospital as well. So we really are in the centre of everything. So we're close to the hospital. We have Adams Park football ground nearby, Wickham Wanderers. So, yeah, there are all these great resources around. Just wondered, with regard to the hospital, have you guys found this convenient? I think it's also good to mention Healthy Minds as well.
Yeah, so as we mentioned earlier, me and Juliet, we lived together, and I was very accident pro. There was a couple of times where I bumped my head, I'll put it that way, and Juliet did accompany me to the hospital, and it was so quick to get there, so that was fine. And I had some other flatmates who had joined me throughout that year as well due to that issue. So they are very nice, very welcoming there. It's very quick to get to. There's also the sexual health clinic that's also very close by, and they're really, really nice. They're really confidential, so I'd really recommend, if you have any issues with that, any testing you need to do, any emergency testing as well, recommend that place.
I've definitely got some stories at the hospital. So there's first when Bernie got injured during Freshers' Ball, and she's fine. she's fine after a while. But our flatmate Philip, he's very caring, but when he's had a few drinks, he puts his mind to things. And so when we'd learned that Bernie had gone to the minor injuries across from the uni, Philip was determined to go see her and give her like a bag packed of clothes. So me, Philip, Kuba, one of our other flatmates, and another one of our flatmates, Mihao, I think, we all walked to minor injuries on the account of Philip. And then we'd learned she'd gone to Stoke Mandeville after that. And Philip was like, I'm going to walk to Stoke Mandeville. And so we had to kind of keep him in the flat. But I've been to the minor injuries from when I fainted in the shower, and they had to go there. And they're very lovely there. They're very good. So.
Honestly, though, they are really, really lovely people, and they were always really kind. And I remember when I was waiting there, because basically I bumped my shoulder the instant that Juliet was on about, and it was quite painful. They were really nice when I was sat down, because obviously I was in a dress, and they were like, do you want a blanket? Would you like this? Would you like that? And I was like, yes, please. So then they were really caring, really kind. So, I mean, most hospitals are. So, yeah, don't be afraid if you need to visit there. It's lovely.
Something else about B&U that I wanted to mention is that the mental health support is brilliant, and obviously being so close to the hospital as well, there's so many services there to use, and I just think that it's just really, really good mental health support at B&U.
As we mentioned, Wickham is a multicultural society. We briefly touched upon it earlier with new foods and new places to go, different people and all of that to explore. So would you all agree, having lived here and studied here?
100%. The amount of people I've met that are from different countries, different cultures, different religions, it's outstanding. If you had told me I would meet as many people as I did before uni, I would kind of be like, wait, what? Really? But it's so true. I have so many friends from different ethnicities, different cultures, different like religions, and it is very eye-opening. You learn a lot about the world that you didn't even realise that existed, and I think that's so important to do with like self-development and growing as a person. And I honestly don't think there's any better place to do it than near BNU and Wickham, because you get to do fun things while you're learning all these new things as well about the world. So yeah, no, definitely 100%.
One thing that I really noticed about BNU is the amount of international students there are. On my first day, when you sort of have to go around and introduce yourself and do that thing where you're like, my name's this, and I'm like, the amount of international students is just so interesting. And I think that we, as a university, seem to really attract international students, which is so interesting, because as a digital ambassador as well, I get so many questions from international students, probably more so than students from the UK. So I think that's so interesting, and I think studying with international students is so like enriching, because you learn so much about other people's cultures, and like it is so amazing to me that they've moved to another country for uni. That just really, I mean, obviously I stayed in my hometown, so for me that's something like that's very scary, but I think it's just so interesting. And I would definitely say that since being at uni, I've learnt so much about other countries and other cultures, which is not something I thought I'd say, because obviously I thought I'd just be doing performing arts, but within that you learn so much more.
Linking to what Juliet said, so I'm from Norfolk, and again that's not a really diverse place either, and I'd only ever been in countryside, and I was always really nervous about big city town areas. They always made me a bit anxious, and I think High Wycombe and Buckinghamshire in general really helped me with that. So if you do get nervous about bigger areas and you come from a smaller area, Wickham and Buckinghamshire is really good for that. And then obviously going to London, visiting London was great. So yeah, the diversity around that helped with my anxiety as well, because it wasn't just me who had travelled, like as you said, Shannon, about international students. They obviously were really nervous and really worried, but the support from the uni and understanding what Wickham was like within the first couple of weeks really helped them. But in fact, when Shannon was talking about when you go, oh hi, my name's blah 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 and I'm from blah 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 and I do blah 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 as a course, I actually snuck into the Pizza International introduction meet up in the SU, so it was only supposed to be for international people, but a lot of my flatmates were internationals, and they went, and I was like, well, I want to come, so I kind of snuck in as a British person, and I met so many people. That was one of the first days I met so many international people, and it was so fun, plus the pizza was great, but it was so good to meet so many people. So I do wish that BNU would do more of those sort of days where you could meet people, and I think they will eventually, because it did go down really well. They had a massive map on the wall, and people would put little pins and stickers from where they're from. I mean, I said I was from Italy. We clearly know that was a false, but but it was so good to see so many pins from all around the world, and that was the first time I was like, jaw to the floor. I was like, wow, there's so many people. So it was so fun.
Cool. That sounds really good. And you mentioned, moving here and coming from your respective hometowns. So I just wondered how easy it was to find accommodation in Wickham for your second and third year. Was it easy, or did you find it quite difficult?
Yeah, 100%, I agree with that. The early bird for second and third year students is very key, and is very helpful, and you do get priority along, I mean, not necessarily priority, but you do get a guaranteed place. So, don't worry too much about finding other areas to live. If you would prefer to come out of accommodation and the halls provided by the uni, the university does have connections with private renters and stuff like that, and lets, so you can always go through the university to find places, or you can always literally search them up. A lot of them should be understanding. I do hear some great stories, and I do hear some worrying stories, but ultimately if you do your research and you get the support you need from a university, you will find a place, and they're not too expensive either.
I think one thing that's really worth mentioning is, so I didn't move out, obviously I've lived with my parents for the 3 years, but I know people who did go into private accommodation in the second and third year, like private renting, and they had problems with the landlord. And even though that has absolutely nothing to do with the university still helps them. Like, there's still, like, they went to the Students' Union Advice Centre, and they have people there who are dedicated in that area and know what they're talking about, who can help you. Like, obviously for a lot of people it's their first time moving out, and it can be very overwhelming dealing with landlords and things like that, and it's, there's probably a lot of stuff that I would find really confusing about that. So just knowing that the uni provides that support even when you're not in their accommodation, I think is really comforting, because there's always support there for you, even if you do choose to go private.
Cool, thanks very much for that. So, obviously, graduation, that's incoming. Will any of you be staying after graduation, or what will you be doing afterwards?
So after graduation, I will be staying in Wickham, but I will be studying a master's in script writing at St Mary's University in Twickenham in London. So I will be commuting from Wickham, which before coming to BNU and doing this course is not something I ever thought I could do. And I think that's just something really important just to quickly note about the Performing Arts course, is that it gives you so many different avenues to go down. So I wouldn't have thought that I could go into script writing, because I don't have any qualifications in writing itself, but our Performing Arts course has given me that option, so that's what I'll be doing. So I will still be in Wickham. I'll be commuting again to London.
I won't be staying in Wickham as much as I would love to. I won't be able to. I'll be coming back home, and this kind of connects to what Shannon is saying about what the course provides. I've always loved acting. I started loving directing, but then also started loving things backstage in organisation, and I will be working as a floor manager at a television shopping company, so that's all going to be live, and I'm really excited about it. So the fact that I'm going to be doing that very soon after graduating is outstanding to me. So do not be worried about work or anything like that, because you will be able to do it. That's something I would say. But no, I won't be staying in Wickham, unfortunately, but the course and the university has given me the opportunity to go almost straight into what I'd want to do.
I know that's literally like fantastic that you've all got that, and you've all got something that you've either wanted or worked towards, and you've managed to achieve it. So well done, literally. That's amazing. So we're coming to the end of our podcast now. I'm sure we're all very sad to hear that. But just to summarise, I just wondered what you've all taken away from studying in High Wycombe. So what is your favourite part about High Wycombe and studying here? What can you take away from and will stay with you the most out of all your experiences?
For me, it's definitely our Students' Union, I think, is outstanding. We are I think we're in the top 3 in the UK. And when I first heard that, I was like, okay, that sounds good. But then actually experiencing it through uni is been so interesting, because I've spoken to other people who go to other universities, and I've said our Students' Union offers this event or this workshop or this night out or whatever, and everyone's always so shocked. Other people from other unis are always like, well, your Students' Union does that for free? And I'm like, yeah, it's just part of going to BNU. And I think that for people of other unis, like Juliet was saying, people of unis who are kind of more well known, to say that, it proves to me that actually it's not always about going, like Juliet was saying, going to a massive uni with a massive reputation that's gone on for years and years. We are still relatively quite a new university in that sense, but the Students' Union offers us so many opportunities, and I feel like I've kind of cheated the system a bit, because I've managed to experience things that other people, their unis don't provide, or if they do provide it, you have to pay for it. Whereas obviously with us, it's all included, which I think is amazing.
That is such a hard question. I literally have been sat here going, how do I narrow this down? Because honestly, I would not imagine anything my life had turned into now if it wasn't for BNU and for High Wycombe as a whole. So as High Wycombe, as living there, my favourite places has been the cinema, because I have so many great memories with all my flatmates there. Juliet, you know them, so they were always so fun. Also, along with that is the SU. I've had so many fun nights out at SUs, and I've got so many pictures and videos that I always look back on. It always make me laugh, and they, like Shannon said, you get a lot of it for free, and I generally thought a lot of universities do that. I was very wrong. When I said this to my brother or my mum or my friends, they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, oh my god, wow, I'm so lucky. So honestly, that was great. According to BNU itself, with the course, I can't thank it enough. The lecturers, my course mates, it has been such an amazing experience, and I'm actually really sad to be going. And yeah, so I would say the course is so driven and so particular towards the industry. It's so helpful. So yeah, I can't really summarise it apart from that. So it's just amazing.
Are there any final thoughts you want to say before I round it off?
So as both Julia and Shannon has said, BNU is rather new for university, but how much it has grown since I've started there and since we have all started there is huge. And to see what it's already watching things over social media, still being part of student ambassador and digital ambassador, seeing all the plans that are being made, it's just going to continue to grow, and I'm honestly so excited to see where it ends up going, because it looks so fun, and I really feel like I'm missing out on all those things now that I'm going. But so I'm just really excited for BNU and how far they're going to go, because I genuinely believe they're going to go really far. It's not all about flashy names and flashy numbers. That doesn't matter. It's about the experience. So yeah.
So that's where our Life in High Wycombe podcast draws to a close. Many thanks to our contributors Bernie, Shannon and Juliet for their open and insightful stories about the locality. We all hope that this conversation has helped in some way and has been beneficial to anyone thinking of studying at our High Wycombe campus. For more information, please take a look at our website, bucks.ac.uk, and look out for our next episode of It Begins With Us, which will be coming soon.